All right, I've got a quick question about defenses, but I got to tell you, here's one of the frustrating things about kickers and defenses. This is our league of record. This is the league I'm trying to come back from 1-4 on, and I think I'm going to get by this week. Maybe undeservedly, I'm going to get by. I'm going to be 6-4, so I'll have a nice winning streak going on. But my opponent had no kicker and defense all week, and he was just waiting to sign one. I had, the Rams at home against Cutler, and I had Brandon McManus, the number 2 kicker of the year, and he just signed anybody
off of waivers.
Off of waivers, kicker and defense. He outscored me 17-1 with his kicker and defense, so I'm still going to get by, but it's frustrating. It's frustrating because the honest truth is defense is the hardest to predict of anything because the most improbable plays can happen on defense. You could have a defense that is great and gets 3 interceptions and returns nothing, where your opponent's defense is terrible and gets a touchdown and outscores your defense.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not even the defense's fault. It's the offense.
It's Carson Palmer kicking the ball way up in the air after he fumbles
right.
it. And the truth is, if you want a league that has more predictable defensive scoring, it has to be one with special teams yardage because those numbers are actually more predictable from team to team than it is to not have those. But, yeah, that was frustrating. But quick question of the day. Speaking of defenses, people are paying attention to defenses for the sake of playoff schedules, rest of season schedules. Who do you sign early? I prescribe signing a defense extremely early and holding them on your bench, maybe 2 of them. Yes, 2 defenses, because at this point in time, you're positioning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to mention a couple. Who are some surprise rest of season defenses people should go grab right now preparing for the playoffs? Do you have one?
Yeah, I've got one that I've been targeting in all of my leagues. Sometimes you can have them added in a trade. In several of my leagues, I've seen them on the waivers from week to week, and that would be the New England Patriots. The Patriots are a pretty good defense. They're definitely not one of the top defenses, but they are, top half. They're not a bottom feeder type of team. And here's why. They've had a lot of offensive injuries lately. I think that's going to change the game plan slightly to where they're not putting up games that are, 50-40 at the end of the game. But the real main reason is because in their playoff schedule, in weeks 14, 15, and 16, they play the Houston Texans, the Tennessee Titans, and the New York Jets. Those are games that are going to be very good opportunities for defensive scores, and if they don't happen, they shouldn't be high-scoring offenses against them. So I really like the playoff schedule for the Patriots.
All right, my defense that I think people need to grab, I actually had a claim on them last week that got overridden by some of my other signings. But the Chiefs, okay? The Chiefs have an incredible pass rush. They've got 2 of 3 games at home during the playoffs, and that's San Diego, Baltimore, Cleveland, okay? So that's not exactly the gauntlet. They have been ascending after an awful stretch. They had 2 games where they were negative. Okay, and we're talking weeks ago. They've been in double digits, I think, 4 out of 5 weeks, if something around there. They had a huge week this week, and obviously dismantling the injured Peyton Manning. And, before they play their playoff schedule, they still have, Buffalo, San Diego, winnable games. And so I think the Chiefs in the next 6 weeks are actually a really, really good pickup. I'm going to be looking at them again this week.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked weeks ago about the secondary of the Chiefs being a team you wanted to find a quarterback against, but that's not true at all anymore. That was in the very beginning of the year. They have figured out their secondary. That was their whole defensive issue. Their front, line is amazing. Their secondary is solid now, so I really like that pick.